Hello, everyone. Uh, it's Showman here, and good evening. Today, we are going to discuss about Claude and Power BI custom visualization implementation. Now, think of this entire setup as a free version of MCP server. Of course, MCP server is way powerful than what we are seeing over here, but this is just a free experience, and everything that we are going to talk about here is available freely. So we are on the left, we have the Claude AI, and here, we are going to uh, look into our entire exercise module map, given the steps that we'll be following. On the right, you have the Power BI desktop, where we're going to import the file and demo you the Claude and Power BI uh, collaboration for custom visualization. So we see on the left, there are 10 steps that we are going to follow to build our entire structure. And in the interest of the time, I've already, covered a couple of steps already and pre-configured it. So first thing first, I'm going to bring my adventure work file for this demo. It is stored as a CSV file, and I'm going to upload everything into Power BI, which I've already done. If I go to table view, you'll start seeing my raw data. And I've created auto calendar as well. Now, being said that, once my data is imported, I'm also going to build the data model around it. And finally, once that's done, now this is the Power BI desktop. Again, it's a free tool. It by default opens as a PBIX file. So all you just need to do is once you're done importing and building a model, save the file as a PBIP file, Power BI project. So how do I do that? I go to File, Save As, and whatever folder of your choice, just save that file. In our case, I've already done that, and you see the version that is saved and open is a Power BI project file. Now, the other thing to observe is that once and as soon as you save the file as a Power BI project, you'll see that the Power BI will be already plugged in here. And if you look at the size of the file, it's just 1 KB. All your metadata stays here in this two folder, and it will be inside the semantic model folder. You get inside the definition and the tables, and these are all your PMDL file that we are going to plug into Claude. So you may be wondering what will be your TMDL file. So TMDL file stands for Tabular Model Definition Language. Each file describes one table and its column. So it's basically defining the metadata of the uh, file that you have uploaded inside Power BI. If you have done any calculations, etc., it basically stores the entire metadata. Now, once I'm done in there, all I just need to do is drag and drop it into the Cloud chat, right? Now, which I've already done, and you'll be able to see the attached file out here. Now, once this first four steps are done, the next step will be to go back to Power BI and install HTML Content Lite and the Deneb visual tools. Now, these are custom visuals. So you have to click on this three ellipses, get to more visuals, and here you can search for HTML content light. Now, why I'm preferring HTML content light is because it is Power BI certified, so which means that there are less chances that the operations will fail here. Also, we'll have to import Genep. HTML will help you to create custom visuals, and Genep is again uh, allow you to create Vega Lite visualization. Now, Vega Lite is a JSON syntax, and it allows you to build across unstructured data and bring it inside Power BI and build across powerful visualization. Now, both of this, I have already added, and they are added to my list. So, which means I'm done with my first 6 steps. The next thing will be to create the DAX measures as suggested. So, since I've already covered the 6 step here, so I'm gonna save some time. So, I've written a simple chat here that hey, Claude, I had been, of course, practicing it. So that's the reason I'm just asking Claude to recreate the demo for Claude and Power BI custom visuals implementation with following steps one by one. Just wanted to let you know that I already have covered step 1 to 6. So we start with step 7. On. I've given Claude the entire implementation and it's looking into the data, it's analyzing. I'm using a Sonnet model and I have made sure that the effort that I've kept it is high. And a couple of minutes, it will read all the TMDL file, the structure, and it will start giving me the result for the prompt that I have pasted. So now that I have uploaded the TMDL file as Claude analyzes, our job will be very simple. We will be just taking the code that is suggested by Cloud and we parking it aside into Power BI. Still ongoing. Let's give it a couple of minutes more. See, it says that yes, I have put the file, I understand what you are trying to build in here, and has started suggesting the. So it is suggesting that you just create a blank table, which I have already done. So if you see in my analysis, I have already created a blank table and I have started creating total revenue. So all these measures that it's suggesting is already set. I don't see bullet range, satisfactory, revenue variance. So I can just try picking up a couple of things. You see, total revenue is there, total revenue previous year is also there. Revenue target was basically total revenue into 1.1. I have kept it as zero point 0.8. That's fine. Perfect. So, in fact, looks like there are few differences. So, let me create, whatever uh, Claude has suggested. So, I'm going to create another measure library and start creating, write everything as advised. So, let's keep it as measure library one pulls. And I'm not always kind of going to get to what Claude is suggesting. I'm going to use my experience and concise as well. So I created this, and total revenue is already in. Total revenue previous year is already in. Revenue target. In fact, target revenue, if you see revenue target, is something that I have given here. It's asking total revenue previous year. So that's fine. I can use this as a new measure. And my job remains very simple, just copy paste it. A total revenue previous year, if you see, it is actually available in the previous measure, right? So that's the reason it's showing an error. So, okay, revenue target is already used. That's fine. So I'm gonna keep it as like this. And total revenue previous year. All right, so it's actually coming as just revenue previous year. So let's use that. Fantastic. I have a revenue variance that's getting calculated. Let's spot that. And revenue variance percentage. Revenue variance percentage is already available, so I'll just make a little slight changes. Convert it to percentage. Two decimal values, good to go. Then I have the bullet range satisfactory. So I'm not doing much, and I'm just creating calculations. And I have my KPI status here. Let me tag this. And quickly summarizes, what we have calculated. And I'm going to say, let's move to step 8. And you see how Claude smartly takes over the stream and basically suggest the steps. So it is really logical and very systematic in thinking. Give it a couple of minutes and it will start plugging the step in. Fantastic. So now it's going to create the bullet chart. I'm sorry, it's going to create the red green KPI card in a custom view. So what's the interesting thing is about this entire measure is, it's basically creating the entire thing, but in a HTML context. Do you see? It's written a small HTML code, right? So I'm going to call this as the KPI card HTML measure and I'll go and create it here. Oh, probably this will also come as duplicate because I already have the KPI card HTML if you see. Uh, So I'm going to call it as KPI card HTML version 1 so that there is no duplication. All I just need to do is get the HTML content and drag and drop the KPI card HTML. That's it. So let me do that. Let me expand the screen here, bring my build content, HTML content light. Yeah. And simple as that, I just need to go to my library and bring the KPI card HTML. Do you see how beautifully it has created a KPI card? Now you may be wondering that, hey, this is something that is already available in Power BI. Of course, we are going to see greater context. And the good part is everything is drillable and you can interact. For example, if I take this tile and place it here, you'll see that it interacts. It's exactly a very powerful feature. Now, if you look into the next thing, let's go to step 9 and build the next visual. In fact, you can chat with Claude and describe your requirement, and it will accordingly give you a HTML measure that you can implement to see your custom visual. That's the beauty. I'm here demonstrating you what Claude in-house has as a context stored in itself and is capable of suggesting you. But you can do a lot more. So I have to get into variance color. Where it's asking me to create one more measure, which is variance color. Have I created it previously? I don't think so. So I'll create it in my new library, variance color. And all I just need to do is add the total revenue, revenue target, and revenue variance. Of course, we'll have to make them or convert them into currencies, decimal, and revenue variance percentage as one decimal percentage. So we can actually quickly format this. I think it's not going to take much time. And as far as I remember, it's already formatted. Total revenue, if you see, okay, it's not. So let me just format it as in the United States. It's rounded off to zero decimal values. Revenue target, zero decimal values. And the revenue variance, zero decimal variance, and revenue variance percentage. Keep it to one decimal. All rightly formatted. And from step eight, of course, it's saying that is from step eight. Uh, Formatting was baked into HTML string. So what we're going to do is, we're going to add a table visual the same page as you click here. So we're gonna drag and drop these suggested values in the prompt and start the analysis. So all right, it's suggesting a table visualization. I think that is not worth exploring. That's totally fine because it's just talking about the in-house. Uh, so if I look into the step nine, I can just ask for step nine, right? So of course, going to use the HTML. That's what we are here to. And you ask, and it basically does the thing for you. Give it a couple of minutes more. It's basically deriving the DAX for the HTML. So we're going to rebuild, territory variance table as HTML content. And for this, this is the context it has given. So all I just need to do is copy this, plug it into my new measure. And you see, it's all getting created on its own. If you want, you can customize it. You just need to chat and it does the job. All right. So the territory variance HTML table is also pre-created. So I'll just change it a bit. Yeah, I've added a version one to make it appear different. And now I just need to get another HTML table and simply plug the new calculation. Do you see how beautifully it has performed the operation? In fact, I had made it slightly more advanced. And if you look into the operation with my previous version, I did chat it and got a better version. You look at here. I had this markers and it's beautifully populating year on year analysis. Right? That's the beauty of custom visualization. Now, if I have to use the deneb, this will be our last step. I'm going to show you how do I set up deneb. So let it architect the Vega Light specs. Now, while Claude is rendering the prompt that I have requested, let me walk you through the deneb visual. Now, if you see here, this is how it looks initially. All you just need to do is add your values over here. And on the top right of this visualization, this three ellipses that you have, click on edit. And here, you'll be able to get to your data. So I have to definitely first add my context to start evaluating. So let's see if it's ready or not. There you go. Says that, my bullet chart will need four things, and accordingly, the quality background and four background. So it's basically planning in itself. In plain English, each region has its one horizontal bar. And this is a JSON spec. Now, before I start looking into the field to drag into Deneb, I have the following fields that are going to step in. There you go. So first thing is the region from AW territories. So you see, it's giving me exactly the column name because now it has the metadata or it has access to the metadata. Then it needs the total revenue. Then the revenue target, right? And I have the bullet range. Perfect. Now that I have addressed this, I'll have to paste this JSON schema into Denem. Now, how does this work? Let's see. So I have to click somewhere and edit here. There you go. I'm going to say, there you go. So I'm going to use and pick Vega Light template, and I'm going to create. I'll see there's a default spec here. So I just copied the JSON structure, and it has all the entitlement, basically if you know to read um, Python, or if you know to read dictionaries, it will be quite familiar. We are basically providing key and value, right? And that's what's building the entire spec out here. So all I just need to do is, once this is done, I'm just gonna hit apply changes. I'll see that the spec has created the bullet chart. If I go back to the report, this is how it looks like. The good part is, it is also giving me the tooltip, and it's providing all the. Now, in a similar fashion, just the way I have just created this Dennett chart, I've created something more advanced in here. And you see, I've created a bullet chart. And again, as I told you, everything is super interactive. So if you create a Power BI slicer, it works like a charm. You can even experience the same with the one that I have created here. Let me reduce the size here. Right. And let's place this. You see, it's actively changed. Now the labels are not populating, so you can chat with Claude and tell that, hey, the labels are not coming up. But what it's actually doing is, it's basically taking the color code and parking it into the visualization and setting up the custom visuals. So that's basically all about, the Claude and Power BI custom visualization implementation. So if you follow these 10 steps, provide a TMDL file, you see how easy it becomes. Now, of course, for this training, it went for, say, around 30 minutes, somewhere around 30 minutes of time, but you can imagine how quick it can be. And if you start communicating your requirements accordingly, it will start, customizing the queries and giving you very first class result on custom visualization beyond what exists in Power BI. So that being said, hope you find this session useful. Thank you so much for visiting us here today. And if you like what we are doing, do like, support, and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.